Winston Churchill, despite his cigars, said that healthy citizens are the greatest asset that any country can have. From the ancient Romans to Elle Woods and everywhere in between, there is an aphorism or a witticism about the benefits of health. In a collaboration between several Connecticut cities and Connecticare, residents can get out into our parks, practice mindfulness, and get moving through Yoga in Our City. Today we'll be joined by TJ Clynch and LaChance, who will talk to us about the partnership and the benefits of a healthy life. We'd like to thank our sponsors at Gateway Community College and Housatonic Community College. The Municipal Voice is the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities podcast in collaboration with WNHH LP 103.5 FM. I'm your host, Matt Ford. As always, be sure to give us a like and let us know what you're thinking in the comments. CCM's Municipal Voice podcast continues to present a key forum on important state-local issues. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect consensus views of CCM or member municipal leaders. TJ, Lauren, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Good to have you here. We have you here today to talk about Yoga in Our City, which is a program that has been around for over a decade now. It started in the park in Hartford as part of an organization called Civic Mind. Can you guys tell us a little bit about Yoga in Our City and the history behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a wild story.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 2010, I was living in West Hartford Center, and I was walking down the street. A guy had a heart attack, drove off the road going 55 miles an hour and ran me over.
Oh, geez.
Long story short, I wake up in the hospital, life forever changed.
Mm-hmm.
No crazy major injuries like broken bones or anything like that. But I quickly found myself unable to work, in total rehabilitation mode.
Mm-hmm.
I was in physical therapy and had taken 6 classes through physical therapy and
Mm-hmm.
already felt all these amazing changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very humbling experience, being hurt and kind of rebuilding, right?
Mm-hmm.
From there, I started a yoga studio in downtown Hartford called Downtown Yoga.
Mm-hmm.
The idea was I was just kind of uncomfortable in a traditional yoga studio setting, and there wasn't a studio in Hartford. I just
Mm-hmm.
moved there, launched the studio, and then from there, trying to attract people to the studio, we started this outreach program called Yoga in Our City.
Mm-hmm.
It started off as Yoga in the Park. Now it's Yoga in Our City, to offer these free classes. And from there, we met Connecticare, and the rest has been history.
Yeah. So you didn't do yoga before the accident? It's something you took up as part of your, rehabilitation and it grew from there?
Yeah, so I was very much like a Gold's Gym guy,
Mm-hmm.
and team sports guy,
Mm-hmm.
like very high school athlete type guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Never thought about it. I was always nervous about it because it's traditionally mostly women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very flexible to begin with. There was a lot of reasons why I just was very uncomfortable going into a standard studio. Plus, typical studios are very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Per class, you're looking at $15 to $20, no problem. So it's not really sustainable,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're in a certain bracket, right?
Yeah.
So being 25 at the time, it just wasn't ever a thing for me.
Yeah. So you came to it a little bit later than some people might have, who might have found yoga in college or something a little bit earlier. That's
Yeah,
great.
it was a very unconventional way to start, but
Mm-hmm.
that's where innovation is born, right?
Yeah. And did you find that you attracted students who maybe had some similar paths that weren't, the natural yoga student from the get, that maybe they also came to it from a different angle?
That's a really great question. I'd like to think so, in part because when we started the studio, we were very deliberate about having a smaller space. So
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't, we didn't want to have 50 people in a class, make it more intimidating. So we had smaller
Mm-hmm.
class sizes of somewhere between 10 and 20 people.
Yeah.
We didn't have that mat to mat type situation. And then just being in the downtown was very unique, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're getting a certain people at certain times. In the middle of the day, you'd have workers, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
after work folks and neighborhood folks. So that was very, very different. And then just people who were comfortable being in the park,
Mm-hmm.
having that sense of ownership of place
Yeah.
was different. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think so.
Yeah. And what are the classes like? Is it just like a traditional yoga class, but you're in a park, or do you have to do things a little bit differently for that sort of?
Yeah, we do things a lot differently. And I think Lauren could speak to this about how it's evolved. But relative to the studio experience, it's completely different, right? It's very much all levels. We're being accommodating to everybody who may come in. Lots of people are new to yoga. It's meant to be kind of a community building, more social event.
Hmm.
Building a good routine. It's not meant to be this very deep experience, practice wise.
Hmm.
It's a hour long, enjoy the day, go with the flow type experience.
So it's like an easy to fit into a busy sort of contemporary work life schedule, not I can devote hours a day to becoming a yogi sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like an entry point
Yeah,
into it all.
that's great.
Lauren, Lauren, what's your experience been
Yeah,
and
Lauren,
how the
give us
experience?
your perspective
Yeah,
on
of
this.
course. I would say yoga, as TJ mentioned, it's not like the traditional studio experience with yoga in our city.
Hmm.
We really like to remind people that it's come as you are. It's extremely accessible to anyone that would like to practice. And it's for all ages.
Hmm.
So, like our instructors have said so many times to me and to other people who come to classes, you can come after a busy day. It's an hour of time that you can sit on your blanket or just in the grass or on your mat and just let everything else slide away and just practice yoga, whether you're new or you've been doing it for years. Everybody gets something out of it. I think the beauty of the program is that it's also really community oriented. It brings communities together in such a nice way. It's
Yeah,
for the entire family. So you can come with your best friend, your colleagues, your parents. You can bring your kids. There's something for everyone.
yeah.
You don't have to sign up. That's the beauty of it. You can come right from a walk in the park or right from work and just join the class. We're in the parks. You can spread out and have the practice that you want for that day, whether that be melting the stress from work, or maybe you've just had a really tough week and you just want to sit on your mat and do some breathing. There's
Hmm.
really something for everyone, which is not the traditional, mat to mat in a studio
Yeah.
class. And as TJ said, the classes are free, which is so amazing because it gives access to people who may not have originally been able to take classes. As TJ mentioned, it can be really expensive. So the program is just really accessible. And it's grown so much over the years that it's just become a staple in the
Hmm.
communities.
And like the accessibility is a big part of this. You don't need to have your full Lululemon yoga outfit ready to go. You can, all different ability and skill levels and whatever can come together for that. That's wonderful. So as you mentioned, a few years into this program starting, Connecticare became involved as the program's presenting partner. What is that relationship like, and how has that impacted the growth of the program?
I'm going to take that one
Yeah, go
because
ahead.
so the program started as we piloted with the City of Hartford's Department of Families, Children, Youth, and Recreation. So it
Hmm.
did have this whole family approach to it and how we pilot it. And then they had their budget crunch, and simultaneously, I met Kim Khan at Connecticare working on a different community event, and I was sharing what we were doing, and Connecticare stepped up and they did a couple of things. One, they
Hmm.
they offered bridge funding straight away to partner and make the program continue. So, you know, but for them, this program would not exist
Hmm.
in its current form. The other thing relative to, and I appreciate you framing it as the relationship is a relationship has really developed. I was very young in my entrepreneurial career, right? And what Kim and now Lauren and Casera have really offered is the incubation and professionalism to grow it, right? The
Hmm.
structure, the infrastructure, all of that has made this program grow, right?
Hmm.
Just a very pragmatic, diligent eye on how we do things.
Hmm.
Things that corporations and companies, big companies, look at, right?
Hmm.
Thinking about how you're branding, thinking how about your messaging, piloting projects, A/B testing, things like that. An entrepreneur typically doesn't have it there.
Yeah.
It's a luxury, right? So here we are. 5 or 6 years into our relationship with Connecticare. And funny, Lauren and I started when she started at Connecticare. So that's, from my perspective, this program exists because of Connecticare at this point.
Yeah, they're not just a financial contributor, but you had no experience before when you started this in running a program. You just loved yoga and wanted to bring it to people. So their professional
Yeah.
experience, it sounds like it's been invaluable to you guys.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally. And the other part of that is the respect that they've had for me to kind of figure this out in real
mhm.
time. Like I get to, the Yoga in Our City team really gets to like try things, and we have to justify what we're doing or the pivots we want to make. And they pressure test all of our ideas. And we always, there's this mutual respect there that makes the program grow the way it has.
You are listening to the Municipal Voice on WNHH 103.5 FM. Lauren, maybe can you talk a little bit about how the program has been developing over the years and how it's expanded beyond Hartford?
Yeah, of course. So, originally, as TJ mentioned, the program did start in Hartford, and through his team's work and our support, we've actually expanded to several other cities across the state. So,
Hmm.
currently, in addition to Hartford, we're also in New Haven. We offer classes in Waterbury, Willimantic, New London, and Bridgeport.
Hmm.
We're in local parks in all of those cities, and we offer over 600 classes
Oh, wow.
a summer. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to access the program
Hmm.
and enjoy it all summer long. We actually expanded. We used to end the program in September,
Okay.
and because the weather's been so beautiful here in New England and it's
Mm.
become so popular, we've expanded it to October. And we also do some virtual classes throughout the winter because a lot of participants would message us and say, when are you coming back? We really love the classes. So there's been a lot of expansion, and there continues to be expansion. TJ and his team continue to look for cities who are interested in the program and where it can reach the most communities. So it's just ever evolving and ever growing. We also partnered with Yard Goats last year and offered 3 classes right in the stadium at
Oh,
Dunkin'
cool.
Donuts Park. Yeah, it was really awesome. We had over 100 people attend 3 classes,
Hmm.
and it was so popular they actually reached out and asked us to do it again this year. So we'll be doing that in July, August, and September, and they'll be promoting that with us later this year. So the program, like I said, is just continuing to evolve.
Oh, that's really interesting. And you said there's, hundreds of programs going on in the summer. Is there a website for yoga in our city that people could check out the schedule on?
Yeah, we have a gorgeous website. It's yogainourcity.com. We
Easy
have
to
our full
remember. Okay.
schedule there. We also have our virtual classes there too. So if it's a rainy day and we unfortunately have to cancel, you can hop right on the website and join our virtual studio. We have a bunch of awesome pre-recorded videos from our instructors. And we also have our social channels. You can join us on Facebook and Instagram at Yoga in Our City, and we're constantly sharing content there, updates on our classes. That's also where you'll find if there's a weather delay or a cancellation, we'll
Okay.
post it there too. And you can connect with our instructors through there as well. They're always posting stuff that we're resharing.
Very cool. So obviously, the municipalities are a big part of this and Connecticut is a big part of this, but do you have other partners beyond the two of you in these programs that help with
Yeah,
this?
yeah, we're really intentional about our partnerships, right?
Hmm.
In trying to drive home our message and our impact. One really key partner for us has been the state of Connecticut's Commission on Women, Children, Seniors, Equity, and Opportunity.
Hmm.
They have a team there that's helped us work through preserving the cultural respect for the heritage of yoga through the
Hmm.
Asian American and Pacific Islanders work that they do. The other thing they helped us do was pivot to become a nonprofit through Advancing Connecticut Together. So what started as an extension of our for-profit studio has evolved into being a standalone nonprofit. So that's really changed the orientation and the mission
Mm.
and nature of the program. Another great partner has been Nutmeg State Financial Credit Union, who's talking about whole person health in the financial wellness
Mm.
space. So having money is a huge stressor for people. So trying to offer financial education as a secondary kind of vertical in our thinking.
Hmm.
AARP of Connecticut has been great to promote this and cross generations. make everyone feel really comfortable. The Connecticut Recreation and Parks Association has helped us expand into new municipalities and new events, expanding our network. They really helped us during COVID with COVID
Hmm.
guidelines as well. Um, and Mental Health Connecticut has been huge, offering some thought leadership and expertise in that area. And Access Health Connecticut, their involvement 2 years ago helped us
Hmm.
go from 4 cities to 6 cities.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's every partner offers like a different and unique infrastructure and expertise that moves the program forward.
Yeah, very cool. You talked about, expanding into 6 cities now and, looking at these host cities. Within those communities, what is yoga in our city doing to reach kind of traditionally underserved communities in the state? Hey, Lauren, do you have some insight on
Yeah,
that?
I can speak to that. So, first of all, the classes are within walking distance. So, a lot of times they're
Mm.
right in the center of the city. So, you can walk right into the park and join the class at no cost. They're all free. I would also say TJ and his team have done a really great job of recruiting bilingual teachers in several of our cities. And you'll also see on our website on the schedule, we mark where we are offering bilingual classes. And the
Mhm.
instructors are really great about checking in with their participants and reminding them that if they need translation into Spanish, that they're able to do that.
Mhm.
And also, as I mentioned, the classes are come as you are. So if you have never practiced, but you'd like to come, um, the instructors are really great about reminding people that there are so many different ways to modify the program to fit your needs.
Mhm.
So if you're coming because you're just looking to stretch, or if you're coming because you're, coming off of an injury and it's been recommended that you do yoga,
Mhm.
the instructors are super friendly and they want you to succeed and have the best experience for your practice. I would also say that in terms of accessibility, it's really important that we have them in communities maybe that don't have access to yoga.
Mhm.
One of our instructors actually told us that she grew up in Hartford and didn't even have access to something like that as a kid. And now she's teaching classes and being able to provide that to her communities. It's such a accessible program. We can say that over and over again.
Yeah.
But that's just some of the ways that we make it accessible. We also take feedback. So a lot of our partners have provided feedback to us on how we can improve the accessibility of the program. And we take that and we work on it in the off season and make sure that we're working hard to make it as accessible as possible.
Very cool.
And
Did
on
you have?
our end, what we do is all of our teachers are recruited locally.
Mhm.
So they're all the teachers are from the communities they serve, and we designate a city captain who helps make connections with different organizations locally. Every community has a kind of a different flavor to it relative to how mature their yoga scene is. So each community needs a different approach, a little bit kind of more of a dynamic approach to cater to each specific community.
Yeah. Um, Now we're talking about yoga in the city and everything, and I think in 2023, most of our audience is somewhat familiar with yoga, but just take any sort of mystery out of it for some people. How would you describe yoga to a person who just really doesn't know anything about it other than they see some people stretching in a field or in a class?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question, and I think in part you want to pick that apart of who's listening, like who's asking the question.
Yeah.
For I starting from a place of being a guy like you, my experience was not feeling like I'd be good at it.
Hmm.
You have this kind of competitive sense about you of just like being the worst at it, not
Hmm.
being good at it, right? And that's just not a thing in yoga, right? Part of yoga is kind of removing your ego
Hmm.
out of the situation. And the number one benefit for me right out the gate in doing yoga was it started to relieve back pain, which is chronic with so many guys in particular, right? So what I would say to anybody who's like thinking about this, and we actually did this kind of cool little video with all of our partners around just try it,
Hmm.
bring a friend and just try it. That's like the number one thing because you'll find what you need there, and that's different for every person.
Hmm.
Some people, honestly, it's just not having your phone on you for an hour. and
Yeah.
that could be enough, right? So whether you're just looking for fresh air or looking to disconnect, or you're actually looking to start a practice, it's there's something there for you.
Very cool. Now, obviously, Connecticar is involved, and they're doing good work with their communities, but also I imagine that the involvement has to do with the fact that there's health benefits to yoga. What does Connecticar see as some of the benefits of promoting yoga in communities?
Yeah, well, I think you touched on that a bit, and TJ has mentioned this. There's something for everyone. Yoga is not just physical. There are mental and spiritual benefits to practicing yoga. Our mission is to create healthier futures for our members and the communities we serve. So this was such a natural fit for Connecticut. So you can go and, as TJ has mentioned, you can relieve back pain, or if you just need some stress relief, that's a really great way to go and practice yoga at your pace.
Hmm.
So for us, it was really just such a natural fit of everyone in the community gets something out of it that really ties back to your overall health, whether that be mental, physical, or spiritual.
Coming out of now a pandemic where a lot of things changed, and you were already had this program going where you're doing physical activity in outdoor spaces, which I think a lot of people all of a sudden probably there's a big wave of people looking for that at the start of the pandemic. Certainly, did you see a lot of new people coming in, and how did you adjust to some of that stuff? Did you have to have farther apart classes? And I know you mentioned that now you have virtual classes. Did some of that stuff come out of adapting to the pandemic?
Yeah, the pandemic totally changed everything for everyone, right? But in particular, this program, its value was immense, right? Studios closed, your gym
Yeah.
is closed. All of a sudden, everyone had to be outside if you wanted to, exercise or kind of even be social at some
Yeah.
level. Early on, the Connecticut Recreation and Parks Association was amazing because they offered all of the guidelines that we needed. They were, experts to offer that kind of guidance. We did do the distancing and the masks, and Connecticut created
Mhm.
this really great hand sanitizer. And Connecticut also invested in the virtual studio. That's where that was born.
Okay.
So we were able to do both. And you have to think the innovation of the virtual studio was now we opened up our audience beyond just the parks, but
Mm.
you have this cross promotion of two audiences, and now it's turned the program into a annual full-time operation rather than just a seasonal parks program.
Mhm.
So for us, kind of the collapse of the yoga industry put us in a place of leadership as well. So, we've in this past year and a half really invested in planning and, kind of focus on what we're doing here. What are our
Yeah.
goals? Building capacity, just all the way around. Like the pandemic has changed everything for us. Um, so
Yeah. Talking about, capacity and all that kind of stuff. Are there plans for expanding this program in the future? Do you hope to have it in more cities and towns kind of all across the state?
Yeah, what we're learning now is there's a bit of an economy of scale here that works for everyone.
Mhm.
So we have the infrastructure to run social media. So whether we're in 4 cities, 6 cities, or 10 cities, we're good, right? It
Mhm.
gets cheaper the more we do this.
It's easier to do the
Um,
10th program than the second program.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly. What we started to work with actually again with the Recreation and Parks Association is doing special events in suburban communities
Mhm.
where they have yoga studios or they have more kind of robust opportunities, tagging on to like a concert series or a
Mm.
farmers market and offering a class there, and then cross-pollinating some of the audiences there has been something that we're doing. And we actually partnered with Sustainable CT, who
Oh,
are
very
doing
cool.
the matching crowdfunding campaign with us to have donors just help fund this and offer more classes in more places. We actually are in a place where we're having to triage opportunity
Mm.
and be really focused so we don't kind of overextend ourselves.
So communities can participate in yoga in the city as part of their sustainable CT certification that they're doing and being great sustainable communities. That's cool that those programs can, be symbiotic in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, it's been really great. And, to have the individuals be able to kind of participate on that level too and become more engaged, beyond the organizational level partnership, individuals being more engaged in their communities is what we want, right?
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Lauren, how do you feel about the future of this program? Do you think that this is the kind of thing that we'll still be doing in 50 years from now?
That's such a good question. I'm very passionate about this program. TJ mentioned that when I started at Connecticare, I hopped right on the program and have been working on it ever since. And I think so. I think that communities help to prevent loneliness. I also think that yoga is such a beneficial way for everyone of all ages to get a little piece of that whole person health that Connecticut really focuses on. And I think, once you've gone to a class and you've
Hmm.
enjoyed being in the park, you've enjoyed being part of a community and meeting new people and feeling the benefits of it, you almost become, in a way, addicted to going. I
Yeah.
think that it's so amazing that it's so accessible, and a program like this has the longevity to just keep coming back every season.
That is very cool. And just one thing, when you're just talking about the parks and stuff that I wonder about, and TJ, maybe have you gotten feedback from the parks departments and stuff in some of these communities, like people being exposed to not just yoga, but actually to some of the parks in some of these towns that they may not have explored before? Has that been a benefit that you've seen?
That's a great point. Back in, God, I think it was like 2016 or so, we did this really great survey, and it was something like 60% of people had not been to a Hartford. This was, I think, when we were just in Hartford.
Yeah.
60% of people had not been to a Hartford park before. That was
Like
like our
like
response
residents that
rate.
had never been to
Yeah, that
Bushnell
had just
Park.
never.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And like to think about that, you'd never. I don't know. I guess I would never. I can't speak for everyone, but I would never have thought that was like that. So an idea that we've kind of kicked around is this passport thing where you can kind of punch a ticket if you go to
Yeah.
all the parks type deal. So it is true, and I think to back to your point about COVID, the value of public parks, is different now.
And
People
it's become more
understand.
apparent to a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, and Connecticut has wonderful parks that we may have taken for granted up until now. So I think that to Lauren's point, I do think this will live on. Um, you know, you have whole
You,
families going at this
yeah.
point.
You expect to be doing yoga far into the future.
Yeah, it's yoga is one of those things where you can do it from 8 to 80,
Yeah.
and you bring your parents, you bring your kids at any age.
Hmm.
So, and that's actually been great about AARP is they've shown us
Mm.
like what aging actively looks like, and yoga is not just for your fit 20-year-old.
Yeah,
So it's been really great.
that is awesome. So again, for the people listening at home, what websites and stuff can they go to find schedules and more information about all these great programs?
Yeah, you can visit yogainourcity.com. The full
Hmm.
schedule is listed there. And we are also publishing everything on our social media channels. So, Instagram and Facebook, our handles are yogainourcity.com. In addition to the schedules, you can sign up for our newsletter. And we also post all of the maps on exactly where we're hosting classes in each park. So don't be nervous about coming. Join us. All of the information is on our website, and we really hope to see many of you out there this summer. It's a really great way to connect with your community and yourself.
Sounds like lots of information out there to be had and easy to find, and it's all free. Well,
Yes, all free.
PJ and Lauren, thank you so much for coming on today and speaking with us about yoga in our city. It sounds like a really great program.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
We'd like to thank our guests, TJ Clynch and Lauren LaChance. We'd like to thank our sponsors at Gateway Community College and Housatonic Community College. Learn more at gatewayct.edu and housatonic.edu. The Municipal Voice is a co-production by CCM and WNHH 103.5 FM. Kevin Maloney is our executive producer. Christopher Gilson is our producer. Mary Draws is on the boards, and I'm Matt Ford, your host. Be sure to check out our Facebook page and give us a like, and watch out for a CCM chat series on our YouTube page.